Okay, today we are fix a database, right, in which we have all the data, right, in one cell. So to work more better with this, we need first to put each value, right, in your specific column accordingly with the name of this column, obviously, and in your specific cell, right? Because in this format, and I will open this archive to you, we have a format problem, right? So let's see this. So let's copy this path. Okay, and display. Okay, so we have this data set, right? This method. So let's correct this. Let me clear this output. And firstly, to give more freedom, right, in the addition of this data set, right, and apply these tools in each line and each cell, I'd say, we need use with open, okay? That gives us this more freedom to work with this data set, right? So copy the path again, right? And we will open this data in the read mode, right? And encoding accordingly a UTF-8. And let's say this archive as F, right? Okay, let's continue. First, we need to edit the header, right, of this archive, and after that, we need to edit the other lines, right, separately. This enables us to create this data frame more affordable, right? And how I will show you, but to it I will use the next function, okay? And this function necessarily makes that the second line, when we apply for loop, right, iterating through these lines of this data set, we do this from the second line instead of the first, okay, in which we work with the first line, okay? So let's go. Let's create a CSV header, right? CSV header. Okay, so let's put the F file, and the delimiter will be comma. Okay. Okay. Now let's manipulate the header and fix his values. So next, CSV header. Let's start with the O line, obviously, and split by comma. Okay. And in the second line, we need to create a list called row, right? And how I previously mentioned it, iterate through these lines in CSV header, 2 points, and let's go. Let's append in this. Oh, let me shift this, the name of this list, because I put row and I call it row has the lines of these CSV files, right? The elements of the CSV rather. And so let's shift. So in the data list, we append these values, right? Row. Okay, so split using comma value. Okay, now we have the header to better say, and the data, right? Header contains the names of columns, and data contain the datas properly. So let's create the data frame. App review pd.dataframe. Okay, and data file, data, the values, right, of in each cell, and the columns, it will be the rather. Now let's display to see how it was. Oh, it occurs a problem. Encoding the invalid argument. Encoding. Delimiter. No, it's the limiter. Okay. Too many errors. Just one moment. Rather. Okay. Here are our data set, right? Okay guys, now we are change these data types, because in the data set all of these data types are in the objective form. Okay, so we need to transform it for your GUI form. Okay, so we need to verify how many variables must be in the int form, right? And how many variables must be in the float form. So when we analyze, the variables that must be in the int form are just 4 variables. Okay, rooms numbers, bathroom numbers, parking spaces, and downtown distance, I would say. So I would say that the property age must be in the int form. Okay, so let's create a list, right, with these variables. Property age. Okay, now let's create other set of data that will contain the variables that must be in the float form. Okay, so I would call it as columns to convert, right? Let's call up ref. That is the name of our dataset. Drop these columns, okay, that are the int columns. Drop int col. Okay, so let's create 2 fors, right? The first for loop will transform the variables to the int form, right? And the second loop to the float form. So for call and int call equal up ref call dot as type. has type 2 int. We need to do the same to the columns to convert. Columns to convert, right? Uprev call equal uprev call dot as type float. Now, okay, we transform the data to your proper form, right? And now we display our info. We display no, but let's see this. uprev.info. There was a problem. Row number, parking space, not found in axis. Rooms numbers, okay. Bathroom numbers, bathrooms numbers, okay. Parking spaces, downtown distance, and property age. Oh, which was the problem? Columns equal int col. Now we have the variables which are with your proper data type, right? So it's a common problem that we have in a data set, right? Because some data types are attributed in a random way, I'd say. So it's very common receive a string or a float with a object form, right? Now let's verify the correlation between the price, right, related to the other variables, because we must hope that accordingly to the condominium fees increase, the price must be decreased, okay. On the other hand, according to the area m square increase, the price also increase, right? Same as to the usable area m square, and so on. So let's verify let's create a variable called correlation that will contain all the correlations to this data frame, okay. And let's plot, oh god, here, let's plot the correlation. Okay, so it's possible see that accordingly to the area m square increase, the price increase too, because there is a correlation of 0.9, okay. So this coefficient vary in a range that goes to -1 until 1, okay. So 0.9 means that there is a positive correlation, right, or direct correlation. On the other hand, the -1 means that there is a negative correlation, right, or an inverse correlation. So it's possible to see that if the downtown distance increase, the price decrease, okay. That is the apartment doesn't value too much, I would say. Okay, so finally let's plot a dispersion graphic using scatter, right? And in the first argument we will put the x-axis, and in the second argument we will put the price. Okay, so up rev neighborhood index. So let's see the neighborhood index related to the price. Okay, so let's define the y label. Okay, the y label must be the neighborhood index, the plt.x label, price, and we need to import the bib. Okay, just one moment. Oh gosh. Okay, so import matplotlib.pyplot has plt. Okay, and let's create a line that will resume this behavior, right? A linear behavior associating neighborhood index and price. So plt.xline xy1, the first point. Let's plot the graphic first. Okay, so it's possible to see this linear behavior. Now let's define the point now. plt.axline xy1 will be for okay, and xy2 could be perfect. And let's define a color to highlight this. Okay. Oh, xy2 now. So, how I previously mentioned it, we have a linear behavior associating the neighborhood index to the price, which could be expressed by this line, okay, showing a direct correlation between these two variables.